I remember when the careers officer came round to the school and she was asking everybody in the class what they wanted to be, what they wanted to do when they left school. And everybody wanted to be nurses, or work in the shipbuilding, or nothing incredibly ambitious. And I'm not an ambitious person at all. I wish I was, but I'm not. But as you said, when she came to me, I want to be a brain surgeon or a pop star.
I want us to play a game. Where shall we play? A bedroom. A safe space where you can dream big. Specifically, a young girl's bedroom. Yours or mine. Let's pretend that's me or you, surrounded by a bed, a desk, toys, beads, storybooks, predominantly pink. Stereotypical, yet nondescript. What did you want to be when you grew up? Who did you see that made you think, I could do that too? I wanted to be in a band and make music with my friends. There's something to be said for seeing people who look like you picking up instruments and playing that's very inspiring. For me, that was girls making music together. So in Scotland, where were they?
Trashy books I read, but baby, glamour of the 70s. What's that? Tank tops without clothes underneath. Let's all cheat to this beat. It's the 90s. It's alright if we fight. That's romantic.
There are loads of girl bands from Scotland, but they are hard to find. When you do unearth them, you discover lost demo tapes, rare singles, John Peel sessions, concerts in prisons, opening for the Beatles, major record deals, top 10 hits, magazine covers and global tours.
And people will say to me, oh, were you in a band? And I say, aye. Well, I heard of them. I say, nah, you'll not have heard of them, no.
What is a girl band? What makes it different from just a band?
We were a novelty, for sure.
Yes.
You know, we got up, there's 3 girls.
Game changers, trailblazers, pop stars, post-punks and pioneers. Untold stories waiting to be heard.
What would have been the outcome had we been a bunch of guys?
The Scottish girl band's missing from bedroom walls. I'm an award-nominated solo artist with a career spanning almost 2 decades. However, it's my time in Teen Canteen that is relevant to this story. We launched in 2011 and were quickly selling out venues, followed by live sessions for BBC Radio 6 music and big festival appearances. This culminated in our album Say It All With a Kiss, released in 2016. Being in a girl band was great. Fast, fun, fulfilling. A position of power on stage, making music with my friends. Female solo artists and female-fronted bands are remembered and celebrated in the history of Scottish music. There seems to be a lack of girl bands included. This makes them hard to find. This makes it impossible for them to inspire. This means we don't normalise women making music together. So what would happen if the narrative was rewritten to include them. We never discover music in the chronological order it was created, but for storytelling purposes, it makes sense to start at the beginning. I've long been influenced by the 60s girl bands from America. They sounded like gangs I could be part of. Finger clicks like bubblegum pops. Vocal harmonies thick with sugar and sass. So I couldn't believe it when I found something similar much closer to home. Jeanette and Sheila, aka the McKinleys. The first Scottish girl band to break into the charts.
Well, Sheila and I kind of harmonised from quite an early age, naturally. It wasn't something you had to learn from anybody. We had such a bond. It's just magic. I used to go to this particular club with my friend, and we were younger than my sister. She would never have come to this club, but they announced they were going to have a talent contest, and I thought, please, Sheila, please come. And she was, no, 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 no. But eventually, somehow, I coaxed her. And we won the contest, and the prize was to join the band. It was the Edinburgh Sapphires. Sheila, she was the boss. We had brilliant arguments. Sheila wanted the best microphone, but Sheila was the loudest. An agent had come to see this band, and we were singing with them. And the next thing, we were told, do you want to come down to London and cut a demo? And of course, we said yes.
The sisters signed to Ivor Music Agency and released their debut single, Someone Cares For Me, on Columbia Records. It's an astounding slice of solid pop.
Brian Epstein heard the first record and gave us a lot of work and obviously liked us. So that's when we did the Beatles tour. The boys were very, very friendly. John, not quite so friendly. A wee bit aloof and a wee bit sarky, but the rest were all, warm and friendly. In fact, they were all standing backstage watching us.
Let's give a listen to a couple of young lasses from Edinburgh. Here they are, the McKinleys.
We did a lot of TV in Britain. Thank You Lucky Stars, Ready, Steady, Go. Each record we did, we were on these things. We did a lot of good gigs with a lot of really good bands. The Hollies, we really loved our harmonies. I remember Graham Nash saying, love your voices, girls. We did Freddie and the Dreamers, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Searchers, Manfred Mann, Dusty Springfield, that was a TV show. And then we did Wembley with Rolling Stones, and it seemed to be all in the same year, in '64.
What Jeanette fails to tell you here is that this means the McKinleys were the first ever girl band to play Wembley Arena. The sisters maximised their rising profile with the release of Sweet and Tender Romance via Parlophone Records. Led by a relentless piano motif and triumphant vocals from Jeanette and Sheila, why had it taken me so long to find it?
It's exciting and wonderful, but we were never ever paid. It's taken advantage of, basically. Had we even had a parent with us to say, no, this isn't right, you should be getting more or should be getting enough to live on, which often we didn't.
Here comes that lonely feeling.
It was Sheila's birthday. I don't know what age she would be, maybe 20 or something. We were in London in this one wee room in Sussex Gardens with a wee gas fire with enough for a shilling to put in the meter for the fire and a bag of chips to celebrate her birthday. We were having to look good and appear and, be confident. And we weren't helped at all. So that must have been even worse for girls on their own. At least we were together, because it's male-orientated and always has been. So we only recorded singles. None, I think, were promoted well enough, And it was only latterly, we heard Brian Epstein, he'd want to manage us. And our agency has said, no, we have a manager. We'd never had a manager, ever.
Their final UK single was released in 1965, a wistfully seductive song called Give Him My Love, written by Donovan.
Give him my love when you see him. Tell him I miss his smile.
After it failed to chart, Ivor Music terminated the McKinleys' contract, leaving them with no money, no representation, and therefore no recognition. They fade into obscurity. Sheila passed away in 2012, virtually unknown.
Is there anything you would just like to sort of add or say specifically about Sheila? Because obviously we can't speak to her,
I might get emotional. She was amazing. Wonderful singer, gorgeous girl. So I wish she was here to be able to tell you things that she remembers. And I just wish someone had heard her and made her what she should have been.
I heard Sheila and Jeanette. Glorious harmonies, incredible records, glittering career highlights. The first girl band from Scotland, forgotten today. Who do we choose to remember? Why not them?
Losing you once more. Yeah, I'll go home. Yeah, I'll go home.
15 years later, Patricia Trash Brown and Anne Morrison, schoolgirls from Dumbarton, moved to Edinburgh, embraced punk and formed the Ets with Christine Teen Bailey.
My sister gave me a load of singles for my 16th birthday, and in amongst that was X-Ray Specs. The first thing she does is go, some people think little girls should be seen and not heard.
But
I think... It just all goes, and nearly every woman probably you speak to this will say, yeah, when I heard that, and it really was, that was very, very influential. My sister, Hilary Morrison, and her then partner, Bob Last, they wanted to start their own record label, which they called Fast Product. I would go and stay for the weekend in their flat, and there was all these other young lads around who were then future members of the Scars and the Fire Engines. When you're, very young, I wasn't quite 16.
There were older people
Awkward
wandering.
lads, older people.
Yeah, wandering around who turned out to be members of the Gang of Four and the Mekons and early Human League.
We were seeing all the lads and they were doing it, and it was really like, fuck it, we can do it too.
Loud music. We love.
We had no drum kit. We provided some cardboard boxes for our first attempts to put things together.
Simon Best from Fast Product. Why don't you get a demo that you can send to John Peel?
That was the holy grail, John Peel.
Yeah. And just turned up at Teen's parents. Why there? God knows. Simon brought all his equipment, lots of cables running down the stairs. Teen's mum and dad were sitting there with cups of tea with their West Highland Terrier. And,
We started doing quite a lot of gigs for quite a lot of then quite known bands on the local scene.
The Bungalow Bar put on a lot of gigs. So we went over there to support the Freeze. And again, it was Simon Best. He was entertaining some A&R man, and they were flying around Scotland in his Porsche or whatever. And he said, oh, there's a band I'd like you to see in Paisley. So they came in. And he said, I thought it was a girl band I was coming to see.
The Ets embraced activism with song titles such as Pure Sex, Reality Bites and Rape Victim, giving voice to young women experiencing everyday misogyny and sexism.
We did get hassled, and you did get some pretty unpleasant stuff go on and felt up at gigs. I mean, like, when we talk about felt up, really not nice, you know?
Sexual assault.
Sexual assault. And you just would have to turn around and tell them to fuck off and hope that they didn't do anything else to you.
Up on stage, then you realised that held the power and you didn't feel so vulnerable on stage.
In our own way, we were like, we can do this. And there was the three of us, so we had each other's backs.
We're up here now and you're down there.
Yeah. I would say, without wishing to be too melodramatic about it, that it was empowering, and I think it was very formative. A lot was talked about that scene, and certainly we weren't included.
The Ets shared stages with the best of Edinburgh's post-punk bands, yet their demo tape was never released. So why should we remember them? At a time when it wasn't safe to be a woman in the audience, the Ets got up on stage, proving that girl bands could pick up and play. And that should be enough in order to be celebrated. They were trailblazers. I'm often asked who it was that inspired me to start making music. As a child of the 80s, it was a fake girl band that got me hooked. The animated gem in the holograms, a dream of pastel pinks and big hair that made infectious indie synth pop. What I never knew is that I could have been inspired by loads of real girl bands from right here in Scotland. Unlike the dreamt-up cartoons I was obsessed with, these bands were working-class women who used their imagination and sheer determination in order to form bands. Sophisticated Boom Boom were Glasgow girls Libby MacArthur, Trish Reid, Laura Mazzolini and Jackie Bradley Heaps, later joined by fifth member Irene Brown.
Sophisticated Boom Boom were unashamedly pop. We sang about having a broken heart.
It was quite audacious what we did, but I think it was partly to do with the time, where it seemed to be a time where kind of audacity would be rewarded.
Sunset Gun was disco-infused soul from sisters Louise and Deirdre Rutkowski, another band to emerge from Glasgow.
The sound of Sunset Gun is in essence soul because of the voices. I think that's something that Scotland in particular is very good at producing.
You came from out of nowhere.
Following in the footsteps of the McKinleys and the Ets, the next girl band from Edinburgh were the Twin Sets, founded by Rachel and Gay Bell, with Teen, the drummer from the Ets.
Men were terrified of us. They were absolutely terrified of us. We never got any groupies because they were too frightened of us.
And lastly, enter two polka dot princesses, Jill Bryson and Rose McDowell, Glasgow's Strawberry Switchblade.
I told Jill I was forming a band, and she says, who's going to be in it? And I went, I don't know yet. Because it's like, this is a new idea, but I'm going to make it happen.
It's like, all right. And then we thought we want a whole band, though, you know, not just... We didn't think at any point, the two of us, and we didn't want to get guys in.
I wanted it to be all girls. I don't really know why, because it was just me and Jill. It was just the two of us to begin with.
A combination of boyfriends, punk music, discarded fanzine titles and fear of leaving the house created an unlikely perfect storm for perfect pop to brew.
Strawberry Switchblade.
since punk, I always thought, I'd just love to do it. Just really, really love to just get up and scream into a microphone. Because a lot of people did that, you know, but not many women did it. Not in Glasgow, anyway.
I used to put my makeup on with felt pens when I was a punk. And I just have rainbow eyebrows and wee flowers on my cheek or wee love hearts. I just draw on.
When I was 15, I was a year when I didn't go out. I was agoraphobic, so I did a lot of listening to music because I was in, you know, and I was that's what I did. You know, I drew, I painted, and I drew, and I listened to music in between trips to the hospital. But it wasn't until I'd been to art school and I got a guitar and I had an old amp and started sort of playing myself at home. And I think that probably affects how you feel and how you write as well.
I got the name Strawberry Switchblade. It was from James Kirk from Orange Juice. He was doing a fanzine called Strawberry Switchblade and he said, I'm getting fed up, I'm not going to do it. You can have it if you want. I nearly died. I went, what? Really, really, really? And I just thought, I'm starting a band with this. I just started messing about. I used to see Gil's boyfriend. I used to hang out with him all the time. And that's how I met Gil.
I'd sit at home. I sat at home and, you know, got some wee tunes. Rose wrote some lyrics. I wrote some lyrics and off we went.
When you start a band, it's usually with no money. If you can find an affordable place to rehearse, it quickly becomes heaven on earth. A space to dream big, experiment with sounds, and realise your potential.
Glasgow was a very different place. The buildings were all black from the coal and everything, and nobody had any money that we knew. David and I set up the Hellfire Club, and in the Hellfire Club came loads of people. We had a couple of rooms, put a recording facility in one bit, rehearsal facility where the bands went, and that was pretty much it. There was nothing else there. It was really horrible, really smelly, but it was totally brilliant.
We did spend a lot of time in the Hellfire Club and loads of bands were playing in there. I think it was being around there that made us think, well, we could start a band. And it would be a girl band.
One night, we just suddenly thought, come we'll just go and muck about, with the equipment. So I just sat behind the drum kit and picked up the sticks. And that was how Sophisticated Boom Boom started.
Rose knew Janice, who was the bass player, and I knew Carol, who was the drummer. We plugged things in and made a noise together, and it was quite amazing. It was so exciting. I can't tell you. We were absolutely terrible, but, you know, it was brilliant.
I do remember strongly, and actually to this day, like rehearsing with a band is the best fun on the planet.
Jackie was bashing the drums and Laura would go, I can't hear my bass, and put it up, and then Trish would go, oh, no way, I'm putting my guitar up, or Irene would think, you know, well, if your guitar's going to, you know, and I would end up, you know, kind of screeching.
I just like that kind of innocence in those early songs. We didn't have to pretend to be anything other than just what we were.
I love working with other people. It's great to get that bouncing of, which you don't get on your own, you know, that encouragement that you get excited, makes me more excited, makes you more excited. Jill and I had that all the time.
As long as you've got that, you can kind of manage to, have fun.
I think we were very, very rough and naive because we had our first gig, like when we'd just been together for 3 months. and we had to write songs for it because we had the gig before we had the full set.
I don't have any songs, so we thought we'd better get a move on and get some songs written.
Sophisticated boom boom.
I can remember very clearly the first gig. Jill Bryson from Strawberry Switchblade had made a dress for me with big polka dots on it, and it was just brilliant. You know, wearing a big mad bow. I based a lot of the things I wore on the name of the band, Sophisticated Boom Boom. So I wanted to wear a big sticky out frock and tackety boots, wear pearls and dungarees. You know, it was always Sophisticated Boom Boom. It was taking the piss. You know, it was basically saying, you know, I ain't going to be giving it cleavage.
We had agency, we felt like we had agency, we were doing what we wanted to do and we were in control of what we were doing and nobody was telling us what to do. So, and that's a good thing, obviously, you know, that's a really positive thing.
Rachel got us a gig before we had a band, because there's nothing like a deadline.
No.
Once we had a gig, then we had to get the band together. And I think we had a set of 4 songs, and one of them was the Hokey Cokey. Record company execs wanted us to ditch the band and create Bananarama, and we said no, that just wasn't going to happen. We had our very strong ideas about what we wanted to do musically.
I was walking down the street.
Twin Sets chose to celebrate their real influences by recording a post-punk version of a song by the Shangri-Las, Sophisticated Boom Boom. It was their only release.
From out of nowhere came this music loud and clear. Now let me see. From over there, yeah. It's better longer than June. Sophisticated boom boom.
We were getting quite battle-hardened, weren't we?
Yeah.
We did. We played all the gigs we could get. And then Jimmy Boyle, famous gangster, passed on the message to ask us would we play Saughton Prison. So we thought, totally, why not? And nobody else had done it.
Oh, we felt like Johnny Cash, you know, walking out the first time especially.
Johnny Cash with trembly legs.
Right out there is the man I love.
400 lifers. Our knees were knocking so hard that we could barely dance.
Hand in glove.
Because when we walked in, all 400 of them stood up and just roared. They were just like, ah.
There are no lengths we won't go to for the validation.
And we got served tea and biscuits by the cons afterwards. We were playing to a couple of thousand people by the end.
At one point we'd bought new vans, we'd bought our own equipment, we had a 3-piece horn section, Mingy had our handbag roadie, Graham Roberts.
Fabulous, I wish I still had one.
We should get a handbag roadie, seriously. I mean, what are you supposed to do with your stuff when you go on stage? Handbag, hold your hair back when you're sick. Happy days.
Those are the Twin Sets, Johnny Come Home, now Sophisticated Boom Boom and Surrender to Me.
A few weeks after that very first try to put a couple of songs together, we were in Maida Vale.
A lot of our, male friends were well pissed off that we were getting all this attention and peel sessions and stuff, and they'd been slogging away for ages.
I'm on an ego trip, surrender to me. I'm on an ego trip, don't you see? Hey, I'm on an ego trip, surrender to me. Hey, I'm on an ego trip, surrender to me.
We'd done 3 John Peel sessions. We'd supported Echo and the Bunnymen.
Supported the Clash. That was like kind of really exciting. We did our fair share of TV, but that Tube thing with Jules Holland was, I mean, he came to us. We didn't even have a record deal.
Do you think it is Hull being an all-girl band, or don't you think it makes any difference whatsoever?
Makes a lot of difference. I think it does. Worse than accept to say. It's not worse. When people talk about all-girl bands and all that, it's frustrating, you know, because, I mean, what can we do? We're all girls, you know what I mean? Can't help it. Can't help it. We've always been girls, you know. Why did I have to lie to make you see? It's time for change and rearrange. Want to win this war, rearrange. Why did I have to lie to make you see? It's time for change and rearrange and rearrange.
I think because it was such a positive time and a fruitful time for so many, how can we get into this? How can we be a part of this? Sunset Gun essentially started as Dee and myself. We pretty much quickly gleaned the fact that we could sing harmony. What can we do with it? We sang covers, got great reviews, and then all of a sudden got signed very quickly. And then, write an album, you know. We were introduced to Ross because we wanted to write. At that point then we became a 3-piece.
Sunset Gun's debut show at the Venue in Glasgow received rave reviews, grabbing the attention of influential labels Motown, Island and CBS Records, who they eventually signed with after just that one gig.
After signing really was straight into the studio. The album was recorded in Chipping Norton, a real kind of famous place. The money is there to work with great session players. Where Dee and I were happiest was in the studio. We'd definitely describe it as having a sort of womb-like nature, just somewhere that you could hide, be safe and create. We did have a live agent who would try and get you work. We just loved being on the stage playing music and being with musicians. With major record labels, it's all about, well, what's happening with what singles we're putting out, what kind of response are we getting, and that really dictates how much is invested in you. As music got more and more commercial, the returns had to come quicker and quicker.
With limited sales push or promo from their label, Sunset Gun's debut album An Ideal World was released in 1985. Failing to impact on the charts, Sunset Gun were dropped.
The kind of major label thing was just too much for us. You know, the expectation that's there. Naturally, because it's about selling records, it's about making money. And that's tough to deal with if you're a certain personality. Because it was really bam, 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 you know, which isn't ideal, really. Not quite an ideal world, as the album title has it.
Now a 2-piece, Strawberry Switchblade would also make the jump from indie to major, and they would be given all the promo push any band could ask for.
When it took off, it was a bit of a shock, to be honest. I don't think we were prepared for it either.
When Warner Brothers came in, that probably was, that's what made it more evolve into that pop sound that is a Strawberry Switchblade album. Like since yesterday, for example, everybody just thought it's a love song, and it was about nuclear war. It was about the Cold War, you know, like, and people say, oh, I see it now. I would never have thought that.
That song about nuclear war is a post-apocalyptic pop anthem that would soar up into the top 5 of the UK national charts. The The average time for a single to spend in the top 10 of the British charts was 10 weeks. Since Yesterday remained there for 20.
So if you'd like to speak to Strawberry Switchblade...
Strawberry Switchblade.
Strawberry Switchblade.
Strawberry Switchblade.
4 decades later, it remains the only single from a Scottish girl band to break the top 30, never mind the top 5.
I remember the video got reviewed on TV and there was a guy from the Cars, Delia Smith was there, somebody else, and Delia Smith said,
well, I thought they were a bit boring, really. I thought their costumes were pretty. They've gone to a lot of trouble with those and they look quite nice, but the song's a little bit boring.
Don't really like it, it's a wee bit miserable.
OK, Rick from the Cars is going to pass his judgment.
Yeah, well, I quite like the song too, and I also like the art direction. I like the way it looked.
And I just thought, cool one like us. I know how to boil an egg, I don't need you.
Since Yesterday charted internationally, becoming a massive hit in Japan, where Strawberry Switchblade would find their biggest fan base.
The record company were sending us to Japan. That was really amazing. I loved it. And I just loved that experience.
It was fantastic then because we were so happy. We laughed more than we did anything. I mean, some people get chucked out of the hotel for chucking the telly out the window. Me and Jill would be getting threatened to get chucked out of the hotel because we were laughing too much. You're too happy, be off.
Jill and Rose had done it. Graced the covers of magazines and travelled the world. 2 Glasgow girls reaching the top, catapulting ahead of the rest to stardom. This newfound fame and glory would go hand in hand with questions about the fact they were women making music, emphasising their status as not just a band, but a girl band.
And you write your own songs, don't you? And the lyrics are great, but because it's a girls' band, I mean, sometimes there's such a heavy thing on how you look and selling yourself. So does that worry you that people might be just watching you because you look so good?
Once you sort of have a hit single, then you're doing all these kind of bizarre interviews where people are not often that interested in what you do, you know, but they're more interested in, well, you look funny and you're from Scotland.
How did you choose your image? I think you look like kind of, I don't know, gypsy dancers or something.
Strawberry Switchblade was a reflection of our personalities. It was us, you know, we weren't doing anything pretentious, we were just having a laugh, really. And we didn't care if people laughed at us because we looked like Christmas trees or whatever they called us. It was like, fuck off, this is my life and I'm loving it. I mean, I came from a really poor family in Glasgow where some days you didn't have a dinner. And then I was being driven about in limousines. It was completely unreal, it was surreal. The album cover for Switchblade, such a fight with the record company about that, because they said to me, Jill looks great in it, but you're supposed to look like you're saying, buy me, and Rose, you look like you're saying, fuck off.
I felt like a commodity when we were signed to a big record label, and it was kind of put to us on more than one occasion, that particularly with my agoraphobia, that, you know, actually they put a lot of money into us and, you know, you've got to deliver, and I felt that was very unhelpful. And sort of pressure put upon you to do things that you don't want to do.
I mean, the agoraphobia, we couldn't do a lot of things because Jill was sick. I knew that and understood it. It was, well, I signed into that, do you know what I mean? So there was no problem. There was lots of problems with it, but not for our relationship.
Probably the worst time was when we were going to Japan. I was just so terrified, and I was like, I just can't do it. Somebody took a picture when I got off the plane, and I'm like a ghost. I struggled, you know, just being away from home and being away from everyone and feeling really isolated.
It's one thing having one hit, but the follow-up is always considered a bit more important because that's when you prove that you are of substance. So you're a bit nervous, wary of the thing, anxious to see how it's going to go?
No.
No. Supreme confidence.
We are of substance.
There was a time when I really thought, all this electronic shit's been forced on us, but we went along with it. 250 grand into an album, you can't turn around and say, I don't like it. It's not what I wanted to do. I don't know, I wanted to be more organic and more, you know, like the instrumentation and trees and flowers, oboes, French horns, all that stuff just sounded gorgeous with our songs. But the record company wanted us to try something a wee bit more topical, I guess.
Obviously, the record company are desperately wanting it to be as kind of commercial sounding as possible.
There was a lot of pressure from the record company, but after a while it became really difficult. I don't know what they wanted. Hits, obviously, but I don't think they're going to get that out of two people that are really unhappy. Eventually, that's kind of one of the reasons why we split up Switchblade in the first place, because the record company were trying to take too much control.
I suppose from when the band split up, it was quite acrimonious, and you know, it was really difficult because I just thought, no, do you know what? I'd rather just not make music because what goes with it is too much. I can't deal with it.
Whilst Strawberry Switchblade and Sunset Gun had been signed to major record labels, Sophisticated Boom Boom were teetering on the edge of commercial success, about to play at one of Europe's most iconic music venues, the Barrowlands in Glasgow.
We started to talk about, you know, who we would go with if we were signed up, and the big supporting Simple Minds at the Barrowlands gig was almost this kind of, that's when it would all happen. This was the springboard where we'd go into proper making records, if you like. And I found out I was pregnant, and I had to tell the girls. When the girls told me that they'd not only got another singer, they'd already rehearsed with her, I really did sense this sense of loss that was devastating. And of course, they were all my friends. They were the people that I was hanging about with. I suppose I never really thought that it could happen, that this band could be without me. And I kind of went out with my chin up, because the one thing that I decided was, you will not use that name. The ownership of Sophisticated Boom Boom as a strapline, as a name, as a product, as a brand, I was like, you owe me that.
That sticks in my craw quite a lot, actually, and Libby knows this, but because you're an all-girl band, and, you know, and that's kind of what's going to happen with women. Do we know just support? You know what I mean? In retrospect, it's a wonderful thing. But of course, you know, you're in that moment and you make decisions that aren't always the best decisions that you've ever made, and you've just got to live with them, and that's that. And that's the truth of what happened. So we end up becoming his latest flame, and we auditioned to get another singer, and we got Moira.
an all-girl band. This is unbelievable. I've never seen or heard of such a thing. We're going to be doing the Glasgow Barrowlands. I said, no way. Who with? Simple Minds. With Simple Minds? Oh my God, I cannot believe this.
That was like one of the first gigs in the Barrowland when it reopened again. In fact, I think it was the first gig that Simple Minds did and we supported them. So we were technically the first band on the stage at the Barrowland.
Moira was a very different type of performer, vocally and also just her presence.
It went from punk rock to glitz and glamour, and then we start getting the record company interest. And it is that thing that you dream about, where they all start coming up and they're all interested in you and they're all kind of getting in and about it. You start to get quite excited about that, and then you land lucky.
We were approached by a company called Go Discs. It was only a 2 singles deal they were offering, but goodness, we thought we had won the lottery. Do you know what I mean? We toured on the Twisted Roadshow with the House Martins.
It was just such a great gig. And we just, like, the audience were screaming and all that. Yeah!
We did it was something like 28 dates in 34 days. And when we came off that tour, we were really shit hot.
When you come from not being able to hold 2 drumsticks and how do you make that go through it? And then through touring and playing and recording, you feel that kind of development and you feel yourself kind of getting better and better. What I had was metronome precision. I was right on it all the time. To enable the instruments to do their thing, keep it tight.
It was good fun. When we first got signed to London, it was a bit of a bidding war and all. It was all quite exciting, everyone wants us. And so that was all quite exciting. And it was, and at first it was all kind of parties and photo sessions. And I'm not sure that's a great thing. I don't think it does great people any. There's only so many photographs of yourself that any human should really look at. Maybe 2. There was more pressure, it was more commercial.
We then started to make our album. We used a couple of different studios in London. One of our girls decided it was time to have a baby, and we embraced that, and that was Laura.
I got pregnant, and as I said, we were making this album, and I just felt different. I thought, I didn't see how I could, split my life then, because obviously it's a lot of work. If they were going to be successful, it's going to be a lot of promotion and stuff like that, and I didn't see how that would work out, so I just thought, I'll just leave now, really, before it gets too difficult to leave later, or too difficult to stay even.
We finished the album, we were happy. We were continuing to tour. We started to get major television programmes.
Singing America Blue, please welcome his latest flame.
Got me really scared of what the papers say. I'm alright, Jack, pull up the ladder behind me. Got me really scared when I watch TV. See a long line of preacher men. This love could be the death of me.
And all the things that are happening, the records are starting to come out.
Who shoots to kill? Lies in the summer, eyes that hide the winter chill. Who's skilled in juggling?
We were working on the album when I was pregnant, You can imagine the record company in their ear going, nah, you don't want to be doing that. Don't bother with that. Just get somebody else. It'll be fine. And so I got the boot, really, is the bottom line. See, to be fair, Libby had to go because of that. And Laura left anyway because she chose to do that, but I didn't want to leave.
His latest flame continued on as a three-piece with Trish, Irene and Moira to promote the release of their album In the Neighbourhood.
Later on in the 90s, we got dropped, and we decided to call it a day.
By the time you get dropped, you know you're getting dropped. It's a bit like getting chucked. You can feel it.
I think they just don't know what to do with a girl band.
The music industry demonstrates that success comes with limitations for girl bands. You have to dress a certain way. You have to sound a certain way. God forbid you have a child or your career is over. You split up or get dropped when the pressure gets too much. Your records get forgotten. You get forgotten. You become niche, a collector's item. Now, I understood why my inspiration was safer, wrapped in the imagined stories of a cartoon. I've got a love-hate relationship with Teen Canteen being labelled a girl band. I think it marginalised us from the off. On the other hand, I accepted it fully and wore it as a badge of honour. In the 90s, the term girl band was embraced wholeheartedly. These women weren't looking for a seat at the patriarchal table of the music industry. Instead, they set out to build their own, with a new DIY ethos promoting friendship and music on stage in Scotland.
It was girls being angry, which is, I was going to say girl power, but obviously that's tainted. It's completely tainted.
Split, didn't they?
Yeah, bastards. There was that pressure. The music scene's actually a lucrative scene, you know, and you can make money and a career out of it and stuff, and we were not interested in that at all.
My mum got her pals to listen to it. They were like, that's absolute garbage, that music that you're making, Hen. See, if you just got rid of it and sung a nice wee Irish song, that would be straight at the top of the charts.
I think we were getting attention, but we never ever really intended it to go anywhere. We just were enjoying what we were doing, getting together and making music.
That time was politically for girls.
Something just happened. Every girl who could was doing something. So it was just like, this is global. Riot Girl exploded at the same time.
Riot Girl was a political movement happening in America, spearheaded by bands such as Bikini Kill. It combined punk music with third-wave feminism and ran tangent with the scene emerging in Scotland.
Bikini Kill were excellent. Yeah, brilliant. Fucking amazing. Everybody always put us in with Riot Girl, but we didn't develop because of that. It was all kind of happening along at the same time.
What box can we put these guys in? They seem to be quite angry if we put them in.
Everyone's trying to catch us in a big net. They're everywhere, these women are everywhere. And we were, it's like, they're running over there, get them in a gig together, stay together, keep an eye on you. We're playing our gigs over there with the big boys. It's crazy. I remember, like, since yesterday when that song came on the charts, and obviously it's the 80s, so there's no MTV, just radio or a record. So, you know, seeing that as a little girl in your formative years, about 10 or something, and I think a lot of women saw that, and I think a lot of women probably thought, like, that looks familiar. That's girls, it's almost like dolls. And then you flash forward 10 years later and we're all of age. We were all there, us, Lungleg, Pink Cross, Sally Skull, Police Cat, Melody Dog, Space Kittens, Hello Skinny, just in one environment. And then every girl in that band would be doing a fanzine.
We would swap fanzines, so you'd like send somebody yours and they would send you theirs. In fact, I think that's how we met Jane and Maureen too. Folk would send each other just little presents as well, sweeties and like postcards and drawings that they'd done, little books they'd made and things like that. You know, quite childlike in a way, because it was about celebrating being a girl, like, and no shame in it.
Once people met, then there really was this camaraderie between all the women.
I got to know Lucy, and I think it was probably her idea was like, let's get a band together. You know, fuck it, anybody can do this.
The ultimate bedroom band Hello Skinny consisted of teen rebels Lucy Mackenzie, Sonny Cairo and Fabi Lazzuri.
We used to practice in Fabi's living room. I don't know how her parents tolerated it, because it was really noisy.
This was my music. I liked this music. We were all friends. I actually had real friends, people that liked me for me.
I don't know if we were like saying anything particularly. I suppose there was one song where we sort of slag off Billy Bragg a little bit, because it was, well, actually we were singing "Fuck Billy Bragg."
We had our first gig within weeks, and that was King Tut's. The biggest gig was at the Kit House when we supported the Raincoats.
Hello Skinny and Pink Cross were playing with the Raincoats at Cat House, and we get a phone call and we're like, sure, we'll play. So it ended up Long Leg, Hello Skinny, Pink Cross and the Raincoats, and then we got to join them on stage, and half the audience were in tears that we were pals because they knew how much it meant to us.
We're Long Leg. Hello. I like dressing up as brides sometimes.
Maureen Quinn, Anne Lafferty, Jane McKeon and Amanda Dorbar of Long Leg fused fizzy primitive pop with punk noise and would become the most talked about Scottish girl band of the 90s.
I think at the time there was just like loads and loads and loads of guy bands. It was just, I remember there was just loads and loads of them. It was like, I think eventually Jane and Anne, like they said to me, do you want to do a band? It wasn't really so much the fact that I was a girl. I think it was more the class thing for me that was putting me off. And I think it was more the sheer arrogance. I thought, I'm going to just give it a go.
There always was that buzz. I don't know why. I think it, as I said earlier, it was about the chemistry, the people, and the first line-up, there really was, it was everybody sparking off each other, and I don't know if it was because we really felt comfortable with each other and then what we were doing, and we were all into the same stuff. We're all obsessed with Love and Rockets and comic culture and John Waters, and we liked all movies and all that, so you were trying to just bring everything that you liked into the band to share with other people.
When we wrote the songs, the decision about who was singing them would be based on what you were playing, if you could sing and play at the same time. And every couple of songs it's a different voice, and it keeps everything fresh, basically. We quite quickly got offered to put a 7-inch out. We were offered to come down to London and play loads of gigs. We were really young, so I wasn't questioning why that was happening. It was just like, this is amazing.
Pink Cross appeared from nowhere.
Vic Blue, Jane Strain and Jude Fuzz of Pink Cross made sick surf pop with thunderous drums and fierce vocals.
Pink Cross was different from anything anybody had ever heard.
The 13th note was in Glassford Street, and there was a Tuesday night club called the Kazoo Club that Alex Kapranos was running, and there was a Sudden Roll, there was kind of Pink Cross, Long Leg, Hello Skinny.
Without that supportive culture, it wouldn't have worked. So we wouldn't have been able to, you know, so we helped each other because it helped us, but also that led to genuine friendships, genuine kind of relationships with other people. Saskia is one of these people who probably isn't aware of how influential they are, but actually just brings people together naturally.
Saskia Holing was a member of Sally Skull with Claire Scrivener and Phil Bull, a low-fidelity garage girl band from Edinburgh, making raw, dirty music with sweet pop hooks.
I think any band is like a gang, and when it's a girl gang, it's even more powerful. I'd always been into going to see bands, just live music in general, and it just never kind of clicked in my mind that, hey, I could be doing that myself. I just thought it was something the guys did. But I kind of had this kind of itching to do it.
Saskia brought together this new family of girl bands by being one of the first promoters to actively book and promote all-women lineups in Scotland.
I just loved putting on girl groups. I just loved having that kind of sort of all-female bill. It just seemed so powerful, just having a night full of women on stage. It just, yeah, it was a good time.
Somebody told me that it would be easy. Somebody told me that it would be straight. I don't know if they were lying.
There was a gig that we did in the Coola for International Women's Day. I think it was 1994, and we just had adorned the place with flowers.
It's a long way to Alaska. It's a long, long way to go. It's a long way to Alaska, babe. I'd like to think we're getting close.
Progress continued with the launch of Vesuvius, a record label that would release music by our girl bands. The label was founded by a collective including Pat Crook, one of the few women to ever run a label in Scotland.
A record label boss is how I like to be called at the time. We saw loads of great things happening that were being ignored, you know, so that was kind of, for me, that was the catalyst. Why isn't this a thing? And it was all connected to each other, so it was just like that way where it's like, I think we could do something about it. Nobody else is. Vesuvius was saying, look at this, you know, this is amazing, you should be listening to this. We weren't controlling anyone's music, we weren't keeping a copyright of anything. So really we were using them compilations to pay for the next release, you know, it was like that way where it was like non-profit really. It was just one of those things that happened because I saw a need for it. It was so male-dominated and lad culture, and women were just not treated equally. It's like that's kind of what I do really, is like about inclusion and enabling and making sure that people get to do what they want to do in every way that I can. It's the best music you can have in the world is women.
Pat also founded her own band, Melody Dog, which included future Pastels member Katrina Mitchell, and they created a gorgeous sound full of dreamy childlike wonder.
Katrina would play guitar and I would play various things that I found. So one of the things I found was a Melody Dog, which was a child's toy that was like a little xylophone. So that was why we were called Melody Dog.
Long Leg started to get a lot of attention, which was great.
When we did the Peel sessions, they were like, we think you need to tune up, girls. And we're like, not supposed to sound like that. And the discordance and stuff.
We were giggling. I think we'd been out the night before, we were playing a gig and we're still like, pissed. And the guy was like telling us off and everything like that. Like, come on, you were much more together the last time and all this. And we were like, oh, sorry.
Almost perfect, I'd say, from Long Leg, their debut session for the programme.
We never let anybody tell us how we should play or what we should play. Even when we went in to record, it was quite a conscious decision. This is our music and that's it.
I think there was an aspect of it, of people sort of looking like, this is interesting, and maybe what was interesting about it was, in fact, it was women, and so we were making sounds and writing songs that just didn't quite fit what men were doing, basically. We got championed by Everett True, and Everett True at the time was just like the cool journalist, and I really respect him, you know, he really took us on board and he got it, and he gave us a great first review. But with one hand where we were getting that, and then the other hand in NME, because by the nature of them, they were making fun of us and hating us, so we couldn't, you know, do anything right.
Vesuvius couldn't care less what NME thought of Lungleg and released their debut album Made to Minx in 1997.
Do you want to talk about stopping being in Lungleg at all, or do you want to not talk
It wasn't,
about
I mean,
it?
it wasn't really a big thing. It was a big thing to me, but it's just the old story in the world, really. It's, you know, met a guy, had a baby, and, you know, it was shit because I felt as if it was my band I was walking away from as much, and it was my songs as much as their songs. And that was that, but no regrets.
After Mo left the band, Lungleg were signed to Southern Records by John Loder, who told them to re-record their debut album for release in Europe and America.
Instead of really spending that time to like regroup and start writing songs again, we were just re-recording that album relentlessly up and down. And also, it's harder to be in a band where you're not really, you might be signed, but you're not getting any money.
When we went to the States, we turned up, we all had a gyro, and you're like, yay!
Strapped for cash and still signing on back home, Lungleg tour America.
In my wildest possible dreams, at the first Lungleg gig, I did not think I'd be in America going dum da dum da 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 dum da dum. I mean, and when that did happen, I was still like, how are we getting
Now you get your merch stalls with all the fancy stuff, but we just have fanzines, knickers, you know, just try to shake it up a bit. But the pants had gone by the second night. We were like, shit, we should have got hundreds more. And we spent all the money. We were supposed to bring it back to the record company, and we got back and they were like, where's the money from the merch? And we're like, oh, sorry, we thought that was for us, we spent it. That would be my top tip. Get pants. Get pants for your logo on the crotch.
When I came back from America, I had to sell a bit of furniture, so a nice chest I had to like eat.
We had to go and beg John Loder for money. I go and get some food, and he's like, there's a tenner, that'll feed you. And you're like, we need money for the week. We were supposed to do a second album, but record label were like, well, we can't really pay for you to come up to London every time we want you to record. And I just consciously didn't want to move to London. I wanted to stay here. It was a conscious thing with us all, but that was part of it.
We basically got a record deal, recorded our album, went to America, came back and split up.
Operating on a grassroots level works for a while, but you have to quit when there is no income from music making, signed or not. The dream gets relegated to hobby, something you fit in around real life whilst you work hard to try to make rent. With better financial support, would all these incredible bands and an incredible label have kept going? Would the progress in the 90s for women making music in Scotland have continued into the next century? Out of nowhere, the Hedgens formed in 2005 and enjoyed an almost meteoric rise from toilet tours to stadium gigs. A four-piece rock band from Glasgow, made up of Yvonne Tipping, Jill Bickerstaff, Rosie McClune and Leslie McLaren. and they released the first album from a Scottish girl band in a decade.
Everybody was in different bands, but all those bands that we were in, everybody was in them, and it was all guys, other than just us and our different entities that we were working in. So we thought, let's do this for a laugh, didn't we, initially? Yeah. Sick of being the only girl all the time, and we plugged in and it was like, this isn't a laugh, this is brilliant. When we first went to South by Southwest, we did the Scottish Showcase, and on that, Fratellis, Paolo Nutini, Franz Ferdinand, and all those bands, we'd meet them. So we'd do all the festivals, remember, and do tours. And
constantly.
Yep, and we would be passing ships in the night, all different types of genre music. Glasgow was a very exciting place to be.
We were just starting out, we wanted to just get as tight as we could, so we played every venue. I think in Glasgow, every toilet you can imagine. Yeah. In Glasgow and beyond.
Nobody could deny us how much we worked. I can't remember what it was. It was an astonishing number of gigs we had done in a year, and it was pretty unheard of.
The tour manager couldn't handle us anymore, and he left.
The awards might be too expensive for us, so we're taking a wee hip flask, or a big one.
We toured in Europe quite a lot as well, specifically Germany. In fact, the German tour that we did, probably at the height of all the music that was going on in the UK at that time. So it was the Head Drawings, it was the Wombats, and who else?
Pigeon Detectives.
The Pigeon Detectives.
That was, while we were actually in Germany, the Wombats signed their deal. Remember that? They were celebrating, and we were like, "What's another one?"
We get signed to an indie label called Measured Records, and they supported us great. From that, we get an American agent. These guys believed in us. An all-girl band in America, we were so much more accepted, taken seriously.
Isle of Wight Festival.
On the same day as the Rolling Stones, there was a huge walkway coming from the main stage right into the audience, and I remember thinking, I could do something with that. I was told, well, actually, it's Mick Jagger's, it's the Rolling Stones, they've specially brought it in for their own show. So I kind of thought, right, okay.
No, they said to you, no one's allowed to use Mick Jagger's walkway. That was the key. Nobody's to use the walkway, so it's just like that. Ding.
"12 songs can take you all over the world if you're lucky, but as long as you work hard." And that's what happened to us. 12 songs.
I've seen us turning up to gigs, and we would get, oh aye, you see the guys standing there. You know, what we got here then, the Spice Girls. We used to say, don't rise, just let's play a sound check. You know, you start playing and you'd see them, oh aye, they can actually play. Remember us playing at the SEC supporting the Sex Pistols, and we knew the lay of the land by this time and how things worked. The eyelashes came out and we were charming the pants off the lighting guy, and it worked a treat.
We got the full lighting rig and we got the full soundboard, and it was absolutely banging. Positive discrimination.
With a successful debut album, international fan base, critical acclaim, multiple tours in Europe and America, the stage was set. This was it. The jump from indie to major label for the long overdue release of a second album from a Scottish girl band. Something that had never been done before. Finally.
I remember being in a meeting with the management who were always honest with us, and the feedback that they were getting was, listen, we were playing showcases down in London constantly and coming back, right, okay, what's the feedback? And they said, well, we'll be honest with you. It has been said that the reason a major was not going to invest is because of the age you are, and they're worried that one of you ends up pregnant. And I remember that day I was speechless. I was like, what did you say to that? It's like, you know, they're not going to invest in case one of us ends up pregnant and then messes the whole thing up.
Why are there no successful girl bands from Scotland? Why are major labels refusing to sign them because they might get pregnant and mess it all up? A line said to a band as recently as 2010. That's the decade my band launched. That's the culture we arrived into. It's not surprising we also didn't last. My time in Teen Canteen made me realise the challenges women face making music. I've since embraced activism in my solo career, during which new organisations have emerged in Scotland to support and nurture women, gender-expansive musicians, black artists and artists of colour. Together, we are challenging patriarchal gender roles in the music industry, calling for a fairer music scene.
The future definitely is in DIY and grassroots, so I really firmly believe that's where we should be putting our attention. Amplify is a series that Helena and I helped curate at the Queen's Hall in Edinburgh.
We're really passionate about amplifying the voices of black and people of colour creatives.
Our whole purpose with Amplify was to look and see that it can happen. That, for example, lineups and bills can be this diverse and this cool in Scotland that doesn't have to be the same people all the time.
There's certain things that are happening that are coming through. I mean, Hen House is an example of something that's really admirable.
We, as a group, are not who you expect a female artist to look like, but we're showing who female artists and non-binary artists are. Hen House is an all-female, non-binary songwriting collective aiming to level the playing field for gender equality, showing how good these female writers, producers, engineers are. The sync side, where we write to brief, we write for film, we pitch music out to sync, has been amazing. It has to be a level playing field at the top, and it has to have people at the top that want to implement change as well. So when there is a male CEO of a company, they actively want to seek out the change.
Don't get me wrong, there's some great people who are white male, but
They are always leading as a white organisation or a white male within the music industry, as opposed to actually doing the learning and systemically making the change. And that is the problem. They are not living it.
You need to speak to women artists, female artists, non-binary artists, people of colour, diversity across the board. You need to speak to people to know what change you have to make.
I look at you on my phone nearly nightly.
An organisation pushing for change is Pop Girls, who have also created a welcoming, safe and supportive online space for women, non-binary and trans artists in Scotland.
I didn't have a manager, I didn't know any booking agents, I didn't know any labels in the scene, so I had no guidance. So Pop Girls, it kind of gives that support with the idea of if everyone's friends, then we can help each other get further in our careers.
It's like getting peer support from people whose careers you've admired. If you need it, there's the support there.
There's nothing more important than starting your own community, tapping into the grassroots, and people find that really addictive and they feed off the passion and they want to be part of a tribe.
I think one amazing thing is the conversations, the cups of tea, the phone calls, the WhatsApp voice notes, the conversation that we're all figuring out how each other is navigating the map of Scotland and the music sector and the festival scene, what we're all doing, keeping in touch with one another about, so we've got this event on, or actually this new policy has come out, checking each other's social medias. We're all keeping in touch, and this is on a grassroots level. Fanny Riot, we're a women and non-binary led organisation, we're a collaborative. We basically want to support music festivals, making sure that they have the right policies on their websites surrounding sexual misconduct. You'll never make a festival the safest place ever, but you can make it safer than what it is, especially around sexual misconduct. A space that people can come to, a team that people can go to, and we're not there to be the police, we're not there to be judges, we're literally just there to provide support and guidance and signposts to where you can get help.
You pick your fights, and our fight is for equality, but one person, one voice is not enough.
There is so much more to Scotland than white lad indie rock. A lot of gatekeeping being done that needs to change.
Those gatekeepers, if they don't have an interest in what you're pushing, then they're not going to let it in.
I think they think that they can't make money off of women. You have the responsibility as a promoter and a programmer to take those risks and platform acts and give them the space to become financially viable.
The opportunities are lacking. Why are there not enough producers? Why are there not enough female artists headlining stages? I think the expectation is probably still that female fronting artist that, looks a certain way, dresses a certain way and sells the records, but there's so much more, and it has been challenged and we're challenging it.
To me, it comes across as they book acts that they know will sell tickets. I doubt if you spoke to someone in the industry about it, they would be like, oh yes, it's sexism, for them it'll be to do with money.
The media has a responsibility, promoters have a responsibility, and again it's back to that argument, diversifying. And not necessarily even diversifying, representing.
For us, we're holding the people on our level accountable. So festival organisers, promoters, people in a governance, hold yourselves accountable and then hold people around you accountable.
If we take away that fear of being blacklisted from speaking out, to feel comfortable in a space where everyone's supporting each other, where there's no egos, that's what I think would really help artists to grow.
You need to change your mindset, that's all it is. Promoters, organisers, technicians, the misogyny and the patriarchy within it, the inequality that's within it. That takes a lot for somebody to step up and be like, do you know what, I think there is an issue here. I don't think it's happening as much as it should.
You need to understand the struggles of people And women in the music industry, there's a struggle, and we know it.
People make judgments before you've even played a note, and it's still a novelty, I think, to see a girl go on stage. It's like, oh, it's a girl. And it shouldn't be like that. It should just be, there's a band.
There's a guitarist, there's
Yeah.
a bass player. But unfortunately, it's like that still.
Being taken seriously is quite a big thing when in an all-girl band, because you're not.
It's still hard for women. It's still bloody hard for women now to do stuff because people will still judge you.
Well, you're supposed to look a certain way and you're supposed to have this sexual energy. It's like, no, get all that to buggery.
Women really need to be nurtured properly and not pushed into, just making money by, the usual, the pretty them up, glam them up, stick them on telly, that kind of thing. They need to be nurtured, and I don't know if there is that enough of that going on.
Against the odds, girl bands in Scotland did get up on stage, did make music, and did affect change in their own unique ways. They trailblazed, they pioneered, they refused to compromise. We should celebrate them.
It's not a case of going back and saying, that history doesn't matter, forget about it. It's uncovering histories that haven't been explored properly or given the attention they deserve just because it wasn't a kind of mainstream narrative.
What happens when we write girl bands back into history? We normalise women picking up and playing together. We build a community of powerful voices, old and new, demanding equality. We realise that this fight is decades old. Generations of us come together and collectively say it's time for change. And we do this for the bands of yesterday, the bands of today, and the bands of tomorrow.
As one of those wee kids, is anything you can do, I can do better. To all the boys. And I did.